Well, we are back. This is Steve Sanson and Andre Haynes for Veterans in Politics. Before we get started on any of our rants, I just wanted to let you know what the two guests are. It's going to be Stephen Stubbs, attorney for the Mongols Motorcycle Club, and he's calling for an attorney general investigation into possible felony charges against the Boulder City police chief. And then we have Steve Vaughn, who filed a petition for Nevada to secede. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Secede. Mm-hmm. Secede. That's not a very common word. No. Secede from the Union. That means become its own country. So we're going to talk to Stan a little bit about that. But you know, folks, before one of my rants is going to be a couple voicemail messages that I'm going to have to play on speaker because they don't have it right here at All Talk Radio. I asked for these things ahead of time just so I could be ready, be sharp. You know what I'm talking about, Andre?
They wanted to give you some more ammunition for the rant. That's all.
I wanted to be ready for my radio program, and I'm not ready because they're not ready. You're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yeah.
And they said stuff was in here and stuff is not in here.
It'll be ready next time.
Oh, next time I won't need it. I mean, gee, what a guy got to do to get things right around here?
I don't know, man.
Help me out with that.
That's a good question.
So anyways, we were supposed to have Joe Hogan on, who is an assemblyman for the state of Nevada. And when I call for people to come on the show, I usually have a personal communication with them, and then I'll send them a confirmation, and then the week of the show I'll follow up with a reminder. Anyways, I followed up with a reminder, and this is what I got, Andre. You gotta listen to this.
Oh, let me hear this.
Call leaving a message to confirm an appearance on Veterans in Politics International Incorporated radio show. Mr. Hogan has no such meeting. Mr. Hogan has no such plan to attend. Don't call to confirm a number that you haven't set up previously ever again. Thank you.
So
who left that message?
That's just one of two messages. And this next one kind of like threw me.
Again, this is Greg Martin from Joe Hogan's office. If you're interested in interviewing a veteran who is in politics and has been working very hard in politics, you might try Cornell McCrary. He lives in the 10th District. He's worked very hard on many campaigns, and he actually does work for veterans. He goes out and helps them, something I haven't seen much of from Veterans in Politics International. Also, he's had a lot of trouble in his life from being a veteran. He's had to deal with administrators and things of that sort. He has to get rides to Henderson to get his medications. He has to go out to Nellis to see a doctor, and he's on a bus service. So if you want to help veterans, why don't you try having veterans on your show that need help? Cornell McCrary's home number is 882-5105. He's a friend of mine, and a veteran and disabled.
So I want to make sure that the listeners knows exactly who actually left these messages. So let's get that name one more time.
This is Gregory Martin. I'm the aide to Joe Hogan.
So it's Gregory Martin, the
what?
aide to Joe Hogan, who's the assemblyman.
And what district is Hogan in?
I believe District 10. I'm not positive.
And Craig Martin is his aide.
Yeah, is his aide. So maybe he's not familiar in what Veterans in Politics does. Veterans in Politics. seek out corruption, stand up for people that are not being heard, endorse candidates.
Right, you've lobbied in legislation.
Got the Veterans Court, lobby for USO.
You've helped fundraise to take care of vets and the widows, to pay for, rent and things of that nature and food.
Stand up for veterans that get shot by Metro Police, which I don't see Gregory Martin or his Assemblyman Joseph Hogan standing up for Stanley Gibson or any veterans that get shot. Matter of fact, I don't even see them sponsoring a bill in this legislative session. I know State Senator Greg Bauer is putting military veteran on license. I know that State Senator Mark Hutchison is going to be naming start naming state buildings after fallen veterans. So I don't know what this guy is talking about there, Andre.
I don't know. I mean, one, I think Mr. Hogan needs to get a new aide. And number two, Mr. Martin needs to
know how to talk to people.
yeah. And one, he needs to do his homework, and to get the facts straight first. And playing devil's advocate, even if what he was saying was true, that was very rude and unprofessional and untasteful.
Right.
The thing is, if this gentleman he mentioned, and he gave you his home phone number, kind of rude, give out people's numbers. But
why don't he help him?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If his friend is a disabled veteran and he picks up his medication in Henderson and he has to take, the bus transit, I'm going to play devil's advocate and I'm going to just be nice. Let's say the friend has to refill the prescription every 30 days. Why isn't he taking them?
Exactly. And plus, that's not what veterans in politics do. So apparently he doesn't know what we do.
Well, I'm glad that Mr. Hogan is not on the show.
Yeah, I would tear into him.
Yeah,
and apparently Mr. Hogan has amnesia about even receiving an email, although I have copies of the emails that was sent.
Yeah, he tells you in the first message, he tells you he's never heard of VIP. It doesn't exist. And then in the second message, you don't do anything to help vets.
Yeah.
Wow. But you've only had the sheriff, the district attorney, congressmen, senators, assemblymen, constables, and the list goes on your show.
And all the YouTube videos, letting people know who the candidates are.
The Valentine's ball you had last February at the Plaza, but VIP doesn't do anything.
Well, we don't do a damn thing.
No, you don't.
Not one thing.
At all.
We didn't even stand up for the Gulf War veteran Stanley Gibson either. That was just a mirage.
Yeah, you didn't even have the panel at the Leatherneck Club with all the judges.
No, that wasn't us. That was somebody else. Yeah. I don't see Hogan doing a damn thing.
I've never heard of Hogan.
Exactly. And I don't see him doing anything for vets, for anybody.
Does VIP endorse any of his competitors?
Yeah, we endorse Tim Farrell. See that
we need to bring Tim here.
See, that's what happens. That's what happened. We endorsed his opponent, so he's mad. A matter of fact, Tim Farrell told me that Joe Hogan called me a criminal. And I said we need to get that in writing so I could file slander and defamation suit against him.
Criminal, huh?
Yeah, call me a criminal.
And you're hanging around all these judges and different.
I know. The DA is my driver as well.
And
helps me with my drive-bys.
Yeah. And the crazy
and the sheriff is my gunman.
Right. And the crazy thing is, you've got this assemblyman who represents a ward. His aide didn't do the homework. If he made that big of a blunder and was that rude with you, then what kind of service can he be providing to his district?
Probably none. And you know what? We usually take a commercial break after our rants, but I know Stephen Stubbs is going to be going in and out of a meeting. So let's get Stephen Stubbs on, and then we could come back to, because I don't know if you have any rants. But I just wanted to get this voicemail message out the way. Stephen, are you there?
I'm here. How are you?
I'm doing good. How's everything with you?
Everything's great. Thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm an attorney in Nevada and here in Southern Nevada, and I generally fight the government. Do a lot of tax law, fighting the IRS, do some criminal law, and a little bit of civil rights law.
Hey, well, what do you think about that voicemail message I just played?
I think the guy needs to get off whatever he's smoking.
So that's why I like Stephen. He just tells it the way it is. So, Stephen, what are you doing? You're the attorney for the Mongols, correct?
Yeah, I represent 41 motorcycle clubs, and
wow.
That includes the Mongols Motorcycle Club, yes.
Okay. And what's going on with this Boulder City Police Chief down there?
Well, Chief Finn, he, I've got my issues with Chief Finn besides this. We're going to keep that out of
Is that Thomas Finn, right?
Thomas Finn, yeah, Chief Thomas Finn. Chief Thomas Finn, the Mongols had a national meeting in Boulder City in June. And Chief Thomas Finn decided to email all of his employees in his department and tell them to destroy evidence. And I have a problem with that. It's a felony for him to do that.
Right. So what are you going to do about it?
Well, I called for an investigation with the district attorney. He told me that I needed to have pretty much the city of Boulder City investigate.
Okay.
Which that would be kind of interesting. So then I called the Nevada Division of Investigation. They sent me to the Attorney General. The Attorney General said they need a conflicts referral from the city of Boulder City, which can be done by the city manager or the city council.
Okay. And what does a conflicts referral do?
Well, Boulder City Police Department has jurisdiction to investigate this case and to recommend prosecution.
Okay.
However, because Chief Finn is the head of Boulder City Police Department, a conflicts referral sends it to the Attorney General's investigative unit, and then someone without a conflict of interest would investigate these felony crimes.
Okay. I remember I came out there to the Boulder City Council and I spoke because one of those emails talked about a zero tolerance that the Boulder City Police Chief kind of wanted to instruct the Boulder City judge and the Boulder City city attorney to have a zero tolerance against the biker clubs. But my question is, when I saw that, when I read that email, if he's asking for a zero tolerance for the biker club, is that a zero tolerance for every citizen or visitor in Boulder, or is that just a zero tolerance for the biker club? Because if it is, well, wouldn't you think that was like on the borderline of discrimination?
Well, it is discrimination, and the facts certainly show that they showed zero tolerance and beyond zero tolerance for the Mongols Motorcycle Club, where they let everybody else go. That weekend we had people detained for no reason. They were told that they looked like someone that they may be looking for, and then we had that woman's. By the way, she's an attorney, but that woman's husband, yell out in protest to these police officers, and they cited him for saying a swear word.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. What happened to freedom of speech?
I've heard it.
Yeah, exactly. That was dismissed because of that, because, he was protesting his government action, and it was certainly unconstitutional. We had 13 tickets that were deemed unconstitutional by 3 different courts. Handlebar tickets. It's not as sexy a subject as freedom of speech, but the law says that if your handlebars are legal in your home state and you travel through Nevada, they're not. We have to honor that law.
Right.
It's a full.
What was wrong with the handlebar? It was too high.
Well, in California, you can have handlebars 6 inches higher than in Nevada.
So somebody broke out a tape measure?
Yeah. Well, kind of. It's
wow.
But
talking about petty,
is they were harassed. Things, they were harassed, where other people have come forward and told me they were pulled over. They asked if they were part of the Mongols. They said no, and they were let go, even though some of them didn't have registration. Some of them had a fictitious license plate on the front of their car. Some of them had taillights out. And they were just let go.
But didn't Boulder City invited the motorcycle clubs to come over there?
No, they didn't invite them. It was the clubs have always come,
right?
And then there's a property down there, Boulder Inn and Suites, that's ideal for these types of gatherings. It's a huge parking lot, 110 rooms, and so the Mongols identified that and decided, hey, this would be a great place to have our meeting.
Another thing that bothered me too, Stephen, on those emails is when Thomas Finn said that the Marine Riders were an outlaw biker club. And you know, when I went there, I was explaining that veterans come in all shapes and sizes and colors, and some are homeless, some are cops, some are bikers, some are president. So basically, what he was doing, because these guys rode a motorcycle and had a patch on the back of their jacket, they're considered outlaws. When I know for a fact the Marine Riders has several attorneys that are part of the Marine Rider Club.
You know, honestly, Steve, I think that's less discrimination. It's more incompetence. The guy that's the head of the gang unit for Boulder City, Scott Pastore, I just think he's an idiot. Some of the things he was saying in his emails back and forth, he has no idea about the motorcycle culture and what happens. And so, you know, I chalk that one up to Scott Pastore being an idiot.
Wow.
This motorcycle profiling, huh?
Steven, speaking of idiots, isn't there a federal grant out there to go after motorcycle clubs?
There's the let's see, highway traffic safety something. They sent out a grant to hire more officers so that they could do motorcycle only checkpoints. There have been some constitutional challenges in different states, and Nevada, you know, hasn't actually partaken in that yet. You know, from Thomas Finn being a served in the Navy, you would think that he would be a little bit more compassionate towards veterans, especially with a biker club called the Marine Riders, and there's another biker club called the Vietnam Riders or something like that, correct? Yeah, Vietnam vets. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you think he'll have a? See, I don't know. Sometimes these police officers they forget where they come from. Doesn't he know that because he was served in the military, he got an extra 10 points on those tests to become officers? Did they forget where they come from?
Well, Tom Finn's an interesting guy. I've never known anybody so full of himself, and I'm being completely honest.
Oh, so he's an arrogant a-hole then, correct?
Oh, you know, that is too nice.
Oh, that's too nice.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Tom.
I think my 4-year-old might be listening, so I won't say some other words.
Well, one of his own officers retired, and two Thursdays ago, it was printed an opinion piece in the paper. To where he basically said that Chief Finn isn't interested in fairness or honesty, but only interested in those that are loyal to him. And, you know, that's from an officer, a decorated officer with the Boulder City Police Department that retired, that everybody respects.
He sounds like a constitutional violator.
You know, we've alleged that. You know, we filed a $12 million lawsuit against Metro and Boulder City and North Las Vegas, and you know, that's what we're alleging. We're saying that, you know, Chief Finn, he just pisses on the Constitution. That's kind of his MO. That's how he does things.
Well, you know something? His attorney tried to threaten me, Sean Flanagan. I don't know where he found. You know what? I know Sean Flanagan.
He did the same thing to me, too. He called me up and he told me to shut up or be sued.
And then Tom Finn was trying to stare me down at the city council meeting, trying to intimidate me in some way, and you know that really doesn't work. But speaking of lawsuits, I'm hoping that the Marine Riders will file a slander and defamation lawsuit against Tom Finn personally, since it is in the email.
Well, they actually don't get to do that. It was an internal email; it wasn't disseminated outside of that, and so. You know, it shows that they know nothing, but I don't think they quite have a defamation claim yet.
Wow.
So you know, it's too bad because the Marine Riders, you know, all they do is support Marine Corps charities and
Toys for Tots.
Toys for Tots.
Matter of fact,
they do more in Las Vegas for the less fortunate than any group I know.
A matter of fact, the former Las Vegas mayor, Oscar Goodman, was their, celebrity star a couple of years ago and rode with them from the Marine Corps Leatherneck Club to the Harley Davidson shop over on Rainbow as their ambassador to help them with Toys for Tots. So maybe I guess
they're an amazing club. They do so much for this community. It's It's crazy to call them some kind of a criminal organization.
Yeah, maybe Oscar Goodman is part of that criminal element too, because he rode with them.
No,
in Tom Finn's eyes.
It's Scott Pastore's just an idiot. There's no other way to say it, Steve.
So he's just an idiot. All right, let's just.
He doesn't know what he's doing. He just doesn't. It's laughable the kinds of things that he was saying happened. For instance, last March, I was in Boulder City at a place called the Dillinger. They have amazing hamburgers. I was there with a couple Mongols, and there were some other people there. There was a report made to Scott Pastore that there were 50 Mongols there. 50. And
how many were there?
There were like 4.
Maybe they were big guys. You count them a few times.
But then Scott, he starts sending out emails saying there was 60. Now, his own report that came to him said 50. Where did the other 10 Mongols come from? I mean,
does he wear glasses?
It's just amazing.
I guess the burgers are good.
How incompetent that man is.
Maybe they spent enough money to say there were 60 people there.
We ate a lot of hamburgers.
Yeah, that's probably what happened.
Dude, there's a hamburger there called the Dillinger. Oh my goodness, apple with bacon, brisket on it. It is crazy amazing. Crazy amazing.
I'm gonna go try.
All right, Stephen. Anything else you want to add?
No, I just thank you for what you do, Steve. I really do. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're not going to be like Joe Hogan's aide?
Gregory Martin.
I've never used drugs, and I prefer not to. So.
He's probably trying to get marijuana legalized. Is Gregory Martin?
I'm not saying he uses drugs. I'm just saying he acts like an idiot, like he did. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Stephen Stubbs, for coming on the show.
All right.
That's Stephen Stubb, the attorney for the Mongols and 40 other motorcycle club organizations. And we wish him success in getting to the bottom of these emails that, in his words, the idiot police chief put out. This is Steve Sanson, Andre Haynes with Veterans in Politics. Don't go away, folks. We're going to come back with Stan Vaughn, who filed a petition for the state of Nevada to be its own country. Hello, my name is Steve Sanson. I'm the president of Veterans in Politics International. This country and state are in trouble with budget cuts, unemployment, foreclosures, teacher shortage, dropout rates, terrorism, and a loss of military service members. The outcome of this election will profoundly affect families, both military and non-military. Military men and women are dying for other countries to have the right to vote. As a former member of the United States Marine Corps and the Army, I know how important it is to keep the voters informed. Log on to the website veteransinpolitics.com. All Americans of voting age need to not only vote, but research your choices. The Veterans in Politics organization has taken a proactive approach to supporting candidates who will have the courage to protect all of our freedoms and our Constitution. Visit our website at veteransinpolitics.com. Don't just talk about who you support. Research your choices and vote.
Are you a business owner struggling during these economic times? Please listen up. How would you like to put your business and services in front of every resident and business in the Las Vegas Valley for less than a penny per home? Yes, that's right. I said less than 1 cent per home and business. And how would you like to have a dynamic and exciting online presence with the major search engines? How about an online video for your business and a fully optimized website with absolutely no setup fee? Hi, my name is George. If you are interested in these and other services that can make your phone ring with clients and prospects, then call me at 702-296-8394. Just call George at 702-296-8394. Thank you.
This is Jim Jonas asking you to listen to Veterans in Politics. Veterans in Politics is a weekly broadcast internet talk show hosted by myself, Jim Jonas, and Steve Sanson, president of Veterans in Politics Incorporated, that airs every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. at www.vegasallnetradio.com. Veterans in Politics' sole purpose is to teach, educate, and inform veterans on issues and the candidates that will affect them. Too many politicians say they support veterans and their issues, but their actions tell a different story. Here at Veterans in Politics, we will expose these politicians by giving them a chance to come in and explain their actions to veterans so veterans can truly make informed decisions. Listen every Saturday to stay informed and to hold politicians accountable for their votes.
This public service announcement is brought to you by Veterans in Politics International. The Veterans in Politics mission is to teach, educate, organize, and awaken our veterans and their families.
Back. This is Steve Sanson, Andre Haynes with Veterans in Politics. Andre, you know we didn't talk about any of your rants. You had any rants?
You know what? That message you played, man. That takes the cake.
All right,
that's my rant.
Let's play it again.
This is Gregory Martin. I'm the aide to Joe Hogan, State Assemblyman in the 10th District. You called leaving a message to confirm an appearance on Veterans in Politics International Incorporated radio show. Mr. Hogan has no such meeting. Mr. Hogan has no such plan to attend. Don't call to confirm a number that you haven't set up previously ever again. Thank you.
Now, why didn't he call me and say, hey, maybe you guys must have mistaken, could we rearrange a different time?
Yeah, but he said, don't ever call a number to confirm. How do you confirm?
Again. I don't know.
Again, this is Greg Martin from Joe Hogan's office. If you're interested in interviewing a veteran who is in politics and has been working very hard in politics,
it ain't Joe Hogan.
You might try Cornell McCrary. He lives in the 10th District. He's worked very hard on many campaigns, and he actually does work for veterans. He goes out and helps them, something I haven't seen much of.
He goes out and helps them.
Veterans in Politics International.
Yep, we don't do that.
He's had a lot of trouble in his life from being a veteran. He's had to deal with administrators and things of that sort. He has to get rides to Henderson.
But he helps veterans.
He has to go out to Nellis.
And he works on campaigns.
And he's on the bus service.
But he can't do anything for himself.
Why don't you try having veterans?
Is that what you're getting, Andre?
Yeah.
That need help.
That sounds like a contradiction. He says that he helps veterans, he works on campaigns.
But he won't give him a ride to Henderson.
But he can't get a ride for his own self to get his own prescription. But so how he's helping veterans if he can't even help his own self?
I don't know.
That sounds like a contradiction.
It is.
That's where our tax dollars are going, to this butthole that's the aid for Assemblyman Joe Hogan.
Maybe he's like a college intern or something.
Probably. I hope he doesn't get paid, because I want my tax dollars back.
If this Hogan runs again for re-election, when it ends, we need to come out against him.
Now, why didn't Hogan call me himself, since I'm the one that called him?
It sounds like a coward to me.
Yeah. So any rants besides this guy?
No, that took it, man. that took it. That kind of floored me there. Don't vote for Hogan.
Don't vote for Hogan.
Or his aide, Gregory Martin. And
Gregory Martin. What a putz.
And don't hire him for your aide.
Is that with 2 T's or what?
Yep.
Okay.
Don't hire him as your aide. You're better off helping yourself.
Stan Vaughn. What's going on with you?
What do you think about that Gregory Martin? Would you have him be your aide?
Don't shake your head. This is not video.
Did you say yes? Is that a yes?
No. I would not.
No?
No.
Why not?
It's just you need to be able to have respect for all of your constituents and treat everybody with respect. And Steve put it just right. Ask an inquiry. Maybe you're mistaken or something like that, but not just say, so emphatically there. Don't ever call again.
Yeah. How do you?
Don't call your assemblyman.
Don't all politicians say the contrary? Call my office. I want to talk with you. I want to hear your concerns.
And you know what? The veterans of politics don't help veterans. Not in the very least.
Yeah, I don't even know why you have the.
And I didn't even know veterans in politics was a taxi service that picked veterans up and take them to their appointments.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's what we do.
Yeah, I need to.
I just found that out. I'm gonna have to tune up my car and get the oil change so I can start picking veterans up. Yeah. Well, Stan, what are you doing here?
Well, we're here to talk about secession.
Stan, you just mad because there's a black man president of the United States. That's what it is. Come on, Andre knows it.
You know, it has nothing to do with that at all. It really, you know, when Obama said that the Constitution was a dead instrument,
and that's President Obama to you, Stan.
President Obama. Well, this is before he was president. You know, he made the remark to WBEZ Chicago radio in 2001 when he was
state senator.
Illinois.
Oh, U.S. Senate. U.S. Senate.
Yeah, no, this is before he was in. This was when he was.
He was a
state.
congressman. I had him from state senate to U.S. Senate.
Yeah, but this is before he was in U.S. Senate.
Okay.
You know, he made the remark that the Constitution is a dead instrument, that it's fatally flawed, and that his big rant on it was that there was nothing in there that provided the Marxist idea of redistribution of wealth. Well, that's one thing, but then once you become president, you've taken an oath to protect that Constitution that before that you were saying is fatally flawed.
Right.
Steve took an oath. I took an oath. You know, I'm here wearing my American flag, even if at one time the president.
Even though you want to change it to the battle-born flag and make that the country's flag for the country of Nevada.
That's a last resort, and it's not going to happen. But this is more about a number of things that after he got elected. Now he's talking about some very important unconstitutional things. The father of the Constitution, James Madison, said the worst kind of despotism is to try to overthrow the idea of a republic. The idea of a republic is to protect the rights, life, liberty, and property of a minority. All right. Now, Franklin put this the best. Go ahead.
You know something, Stan. I just wanted to just to get the listeners up to date about what you're talking about. I was told that there's 36 states that gathered signatures.
50 now.
Now it's all 50.
All 50 states. I have the list right here. All 50.
You want to name them all with the amount, because
yes.
It looks like you have a more better list than I do.
Yeah, all 50 states have. 10 states have already passed the threshold that require a response from the Obama administration. We are about to have, within the next couple of days, 3 or 4 more, about 6 more states will pass that 25,000 list. That'll right now it's Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, North Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, Missouri, South Carolina, and Oklahoma. And then probably within the next 5 days, you're going to have Ohio, New York, Arizona, Arkansas, Pennsylvania, Colorado, and Indiana will pass that threshold. And then within the next 10 days, you'll have probably 29 states pass, and all 50 states have petitions out there at this point.
So are you guys serious, Stan, or are you just trying to make a statement? Because if you're serious, that means each state have to have their own military. We have to have passports to get from one state to another, especially if all 50 states wants to be their own country. Each states will have border guards on there. Now people can't come from Mexico. They have a hard time getting to California, Arizona, Texas now. So I just want to know, and then each state has to be recognized with United Nations. Each states need to get their own state or Secretary of State or whatever that might be.
Well, every state already has its Secretary of State.
Which is a lieutenant governor, right? Oh, you're talking about Ross Miller.
Yeah, Ross Miller. And every state already has state troopers. You know, it's just whether they want to expand it, you know, to a larger number or something like that. But everybody has state troopers. But that's not what we're talking about. Madison said that if the union is dissolved, you're gonna gravitate into 2 or more federal unions, you know, perhaps. This is simply making a statement. We're not talking about serious secession at this point. There's a number of other alternatives, a couple of which came out today, which was 20 governors got together and did a joint statement of nullification, saying that their states, 20 states, will not implement Obamacare and the tax on nothing. Because in their views, it's not just the Supreme Court that can rule on something, but states can also nullify per Madison's Virginia resolutions of 1798, the nullification idea. But getting back to, Madison's Federalist number 10 on what a republic is, defining what a republic is, he says the worst kind of despotism is a pure democracy. And Franklin said this, I think, in the most cheerful way that's a funny way that to explain it to people. And he said, we're a republic if you can keep it. We're not a democracy. Democracy is 2 wolves and 1 sheep voting on whether to have sheep for dinner. All right? So the idea here is that you're supposed to be able to protect the rights of a minority, especially property rights, regardless. And the thing that came out after the election is that he says, now we've changed this republic into a pure democracy, and I have a democratic mandate to increase taxes only on the 1%. Now, if you look at biblical values and the parable of the 100 sheep, the shepherd was told to protect not just the 99 sheep, but to go out and protect the 1 sheep as well in Matthew 18:12. So, this is the illustration of that. If you're going to increase taxes, you got to increase them on everybody or not increase them on anyone. But to single out and just say, it's popular to the 99 to say, we're going to increase taxes just on the 1% over here. It's a popular idea. Unfortunately, we're a republic. We're not a pure democracy.
So what made you get into this, Dan?
Well, at the time that I got into this...
And how did you get your signatures?
We get them online at Obama's website, thewhitehouse.gov. He reminds everybody, and I think this is a great thing that Obama's doing, he reminds everybody that under the First Amendment, you can petition about anything. He just says you won't get an official response from the government unless you had 5,000 signatures. Well, this starts, and now he said, well, we're getting so many petitions, let's raise this to 25,000. Well, he's now already got 10 states saying, that we're not happy about the idea that you say that we're not a republic, but that we're a pure democracy. So this is, we're starting to tread in, it is my oath to uphold and protect the Constitution. And we're a constitutional republic, a representative democracy, not a pure democracy where the states simply do not matter. And, they talk about we want to do away with the Electoral College. Now when you start talking about a consolidated republic, let's do away with all 50 state borders, and we're just going to become provinces. And,
And what's the difference between a province and a state?
A province does not have that free, independent, and sovereign state status. Okay? This is something we fought for. The Treaty of Paris, 1783, His Britannic Majesty recognizes the freedom, independence, and sovereignty, and it lists in the treaty each of the 13 states by name. Okay? Now, the original draft, August 6, 1787 of the Constitution, again listed each of those 13 states by name. But they go, wait a minute, what if all 13 states don't? So they said, well, we will just simply understand that whatever states accede to it, which is the opposite of secession, you have to have not your legislators approve it, but you have to have the legislators approve a separate ratification convention. So each state had an election where they elect delegates just to this ratification convention, and those states, it's not in the Constitution, but it's in those ratification statements. We reserve the right, if we feel the federal government is being abusive to our rights, to reverse the process, reassemble here in a secession convention, the opposite of an accession convention, and withdraw and form and everything that we've delegated to the federal government. This is not a permanent delegation of authority. It's a conditional.
Okay, well, let me ask
Yeah.
you a question. So why don't all the states just get together, form a militia, and take control of the government if that's the case?
Well, that's why you have a committee of the 50 states with you have a governor's council and a number of other things there. And I like what they're doing right now. They're looking at a couple of different things. One thing that they're looking at is to try to gain Republican control of the Senate by adding 4 more states in Texas, which would now make, with Puerto Rico, 110 senators instead of just
and for those people that don't know, Puerto Rico did have on their ballot to become a state.
And pass that.
And it's up to Congress.
And now it's up to Congress to approve that request and add them as the 51st star.
Why would you think Puerto Rico would, if they bring in two U.S. senators, and I'm assuming 4 Congress or 3 maybe?
They've got quite a bit of population. You're probably looking at 5 or 6 maybe.
Okay, well, why do you
like
think Puerto Rico would take the mindset of a Republican versus the mindset?
No, I was suggesting that it'd probably be Democratic. Right now it's 53-47. Texas tries to add 8 Republican senators to make it 55. They'll push that Puerto Rican thing. They'll have 55-55. Then you'll probably see California. But none of that's going to happen. Right now what we have
Well, you don't think Puerto Rico is going to become a state?
No, it will. I'm just simply saying I don't think Texas will break up, or that California will, or something like that. I think that you look at this as an absolute last resort. But, as Jefferson said, they outlined all of their trains of abuses of King George III, that they were unhappy with. And then you take a look at what's happened with the train of abuses we've seen. 50 million unborn, abortion, 50 million abortions. That's life. That's supposed to be at the top. Now we have liberty. We had a war over liberty, to end that slavery. All right.
Do you think that if these states try to secede from the Union, do you think that might create a civil war? Maybe.
I would hope not, but it just depends on whether we have somebody. I see a lot of parallels with Obama with Lincoln. Most people don't understand. I am not a member of the Republican Party because I know my history. I know that the Republican Party was founded in 1854 in Ripon, Wisconsin by 5 members of the Communist Party.
Did you give us your background?
Yeah, I have a Ph.D. in accounting. I have a master's in business administration. But more importantly, what I was talking about is I wasn't a high school dropout like one of my opponents who got elected.
Which one is that?
Dina Titus. Okay. I have minors.
Hold on. Isn't she a college professor at one time at UNLV?
Yeah, but she dropped 110,000. She never got her high school diploma. Never.
Really?
Never got her high school diploma.
So how did she get doctor in front of her name?
Well, she eventually later on took college courses and got a degree and became a college professor.
And you're a member of the IAP, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. But they have nothing to do with this. This is something I'm doing on my own. But you're talking about here, a lot of different things. I mean, my campaign was, I feel, very successful because I got 5,000 votes, but in the course of that, 500 of those votes went to getting rid of a corrupt judge who lost by about 500 votes. So my campaign...
What judge?
Actually, I don't want to mention him by name. You can look up and find out.
Oh, come on.
Dan,
wait, come on.
We've been name-calling all day.
No. You can't do that.
Since 2 o'clock, we've been dropping names.
The listeners want to know.
We've been dropping names since 2.
You got to put it out there. Come on. You're trying to break away from America here, but you don't want to name.
I will just say,
and you're trying to break away from being the ordinary politician. Why don't you just?
I'll just say Dustin Cruz's opponent. Okay.
That's just Judge William Jansen.
There you go.
Yeah, he's soon not to be judged by December 31st or something crazy. Right. Well, why couldn't you say that?
Okay, so anyway.
I went on the commercial, and I did a commercial for Cynthia Dustin Cruz.
Hey, I'm not as, I'm not a Steve Sanson.
Hold on, Stan Vaughn. No.
We're talking about Obama.
Oh, hold on. Stan Vaughn, you have a petition in the state of Nevada to become its own country. But you're saying you're not a Steve Sanson? Of course you're not. You're a Stan Vaughn, which I haven't even done that. I never said that the state of Nevada should be its own country and should secede from the Union. That's a bold statement.
I know. It's
Well, what
bold,
you're saying is the government failed the citizens of the state of Nevada.
It has here. Now, what we're hoping is.
But you won't
that,
drop names of a judge that's about ready to leave.
But anyway,
but he'll say something against Obama.
Yeah, the president of the United States.
Are you sure that's not motivating your efforts?
Yeah. But no, I'm just saying that anyway, I just
did we lose your train of thought?
No, not really. There, it's just that I applaud Steve for his boldness and his everything that he does with the radio show and everything like that.
Thanks, Dan.
And he does a great thing. The way that I got my confirmation here. I don't see what the problem there is.
Oh man! Yeah, even Obama with the petitions, he just increased the number of signatures required. That guy said, "Don't call."
Yeah. So yeah. That was the point. This guy says don't call. Obama just says, well, we're going to have to increase the number of signatures, and they still passed that. So,
are you a constitutionist, Stan?
Yeah, I'm a strict constructionist.
Okay.
Very much. Defense of the Constitution.
You should have some conversations with former Judge George Assad, because he's a strict constitutionist as well.
Well, I was very pleased with a couple of things in the last couple of days. Judge Napolitano came out in support of the secession petitions. Ron Paul said it's the absolute American tradition. We fought for that right to secede from Great Britain. And then you saw for 10 years.
But a lot of people died doing that, though.
That's right. That's right. But remember, Nevada has more people than all 13 of those states did in 1776. So when people say, oh, we're not big enough, maybe it's we don't have the leaders that we had back then or whatever.
They don't have no balls.
Yeah. But
like Joe Hogan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Martin, don't call.
Maybe we are devolving into an idiocracy of lower and lower IQs. And Nevada is, Nevada and Mississippi are 49th and 50th in education and a number of other things there.
Yeah, but yet they voted to put all the trustees back in. But something, Stan, a lot of folks that are here in the state of Nevada, a lot of folks, I would say a good maybe 80%, 90% of the population is from other states. Do you think that if Nevada was to become its own country, that the population would drop?
No, it all depends. I mean, you're just a little bit more in charge of your own destiny. But Nevada would not be independent. I mean, let's get serious here.
Will we lose federal grant money?
There wouldn't be federal grant money. You would have more taxes. You'd be paying less taxes.
Uh-huh.
You just think about this.
So we wouldn't have to pay federal income tax, then, right?
Because we don't have state income tax in Nevada.
But don't you think a state income tax would come because they losing the federal?
I don't think so. There would be a lot of tourism from other places coming here. You would have the same kind of tax system here. But here's the one thing. I had the Associated Press call the other day, and they talked about Sandoval wasn't in favor of all this and everything, and said that we would be basically the last state. The other 49 could secede, but we would stay here and be part of we would call ourselves the United States of America. And I said, well, if they do that, here's what happens. They've tried several times to put a constitutional amendment that if any state seceded, they would have to assume part of the national debt. So I said, here's what's going to happen then. If the other 49 states secede, you're going to leave Nevada holding the tab with $17 trillion in debt. Now you're going to have to raise taxes here to cover that. They're going to leave us, this one state, paying all the bills to all the foreign countries that they built up over the years. So I said that's just absolutely insane that you would sit here and be the 50th state to jump on. So
let's play devil's advocate for a minute. If you believe that signing this petition to secede from the Union, it's never going to happen, why are you doing it?
Because look at the results that it's already done. You've now had today, in a press conference, 20 governors get together and said, we see the massive dissatisfaction, that Obama wants to drive the bus off the cliff and crash the economy here because he's saying we're going to increase taxes on the rich and nobody else, and I'm doing that. Well, people are looking at this and they're going, this is unconstitutional. Maybe you can have progressive taxation, and maybe the rich will pay, the 1% will pay a higher amount of taxes, but to just say that they're going to pay increased taxes and the other 99% no. People are upset about this, and so now you have 20 states that are saying we will not implement the tax on nothing, we will not have the health care system, and we're using the idea of nullification as a preliminary interposition so that we don't have to go to secession. All right? Now let's see what the response is going to be on that. And Sandoval hasn't made, his decision yet whether we're going to take that federal grant money. My guess is that he probably will go with Obamacare. They were talking about this on the couple of programs last night. But that remains to be seen.
What do you think Gibbons would have done if he was in office right now?
I don't know. He probably might. He would probably have said no and joined with the other governors that are saying that. But we have such a.
Where is Jim Gibbons at, anyways?
I don't know. But we have such a terrible economy now. Highest foreclosures, highest unemployment. We're now looking at
highest and last in education.
Yeah.
But we still vote those trustees back.
And don't forget the suicide rate.
Yeah.
And don't forget the obesity rate too.
Yeah.
Oh, and third in police shootings. By the way, let's keep going. We haven't ranked number 1 yet in police shootings, but we're third.
So
what's that guy I keep holding up the numbers over there for?
Just telling you, we need to get.
Isn't this an all-day show, Andre?
Yeah.
So
I thought it was an all-day show.
So I'm just here trying to uphold the Republic and the Constitution.
Okay.
This is a protest saying, that we're still a republic. We want to remind Obama that we're still a republic, despite his having said that it's fatally flawed and doesn't allow for redistribution of wealth. I'm hoping that we're not going down the road of Marxism and communism yet, but
or become like Greece,
But they've got some definite things to come up. But I think we're trying to say compromise.
Right.
Yeah. Who's eligible to sign the petition?
Anybody can sign a petition.
How many illegal voters or illegal immigrants you have in those petitions you get?
I don't know. I don't know. We haven't had Culinary 226 out there signing people up.
You got some illegals on there. Come on.
Can felons sign the petition?
Yes, they can. Actually, they can.
Can dead people sign it?
And no, but that's one of the things that I pushed for was that when felons have served their time, they should have automatic.
Right. The rights should be restored.
The rights should be restored because Thurgood Marshall said, and he was just simply repeating what Samuel Adams said, was that the right to vote is the starting point of your most fundamental rights.
Right. So what else you have for us, Dan?
That's about it today.
Where can people go online to find us?
Whitehouse.gov.
Okay.
The White House is promoting it?
White House is promoting it, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Whitehouse.gov. Go down about 100 petitions, and you'll see Nevada's. There's about 11,000 people that have signed it. We have about 25 more days to get just half the signatures.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And
in 5 days' time, we've had 11,000
How can people get a hold of you?
We have my website, stanvon.com, and it's still up.
Well, you're not going to give them a jingle number?
Don't call. Gregory Martin.
Don't call. Don't call.
Just go to the website, and that has how you can connect. Get to me by email and everything.
Maybe you can use the same aid Joe Hogan used. Well, thank you so much for calling on the show, Stan. We really appreciate you. Educated us on this the secession from the Union.
I appreciate people like you, a true patriot, and giving people the opportunity for their First Amendment freedom of speech and getting issues out there to people.
God bless. That's Stan Vaughn who's going around and trying to get people to sign his petition so that
wants to be free.
Nevada could be its own country. It's going to be the
United.
No, it couldn't be the United States. I guess United Counties of Nevada. Something like that. Something fancy. This is Steve Sanson, Andre Haynes with Veterans in Politics. Until next week.
From the lakes of Minnesota.
Views and opinions expressed on this program were those of the hosts and guests and did not necessarily reflect those of Vegas All Net Radio, its affiliates, or its parent company.